Hey everybody, it's Q-Tip. I'm gonna make this video. I hesitated to make this video just because it's incredibly advanced poker strategy and almost didn't want to give all this gold away, but I figure people probably won't apply it correctly anyway, so I don't have to worry about the impact on my game so much. So let's go ahead and get started. The first situation arises, we face a raise pre-flop and we have ace-ace, and here comes the advanced strategy. Now, I just want to preface this by saying I stumbled across a lot of these strategies playing, 45 tables at the Beast, and so here it comes. Ready? There it is, the fold. And a lot of people would go, "Wow, what's going on here?" And I wouldn't even so much call this play and we can see another one here, just even without facing a raise, just open fold. And we could look at some different ones. Again, just open fold. I wouldn't call this a slow play as much as maybe I just call it a reverse fast play. And plenty of these we can look at open fold. As a matter of fact, if you look at my database, folded pre-flop and had ace-ace, you'll see I've done this 88 times. As a matter of fact, there's probably some in here that I would consider extremely advanced. Let's take a look at this hand right here, where I actually go ahead and open for a raise, get re-raised, and then muck it. And as you can see, it looks like I have plenty of these. Here we go again. Oh, look at this. This is the 3-bet into the fold. So again, incredibly advanced. As a matter of fact, I'm not one of these shoot for a particular stat guy, but I would say, if your VPIP is over 95 with ace-ace, you probably have some major leaks. Okay, now on the flip side, we have a play like this. You can see we're at an NL50 game. I'm starting, close to 300 times here, and what makes this extra tricky is since I am playing so many tables, probably didn't recognize the fact that, I was 300 times deep. But despite that fact, and this is where you develop an intuition, the more you study the game, I take a play here that I would call maybe not so much a fast play, but a reverse slow play, and that is just an open ship with the 7-9 suited. Now again, people might look at this and go, whoa, what is going on? But let's keep in mind, I do have the opportunity to win 75 cents, and I have probably, a really large amount of fold equity. Unless you're dealing with times, when someone ends up with a hand like king. Now, you see that, when you're playing, you go, wow, this is major run bad when I just pulled off what I would call, an exceptional move. But sure, it didn't work this time, but I did have equity, and the times, sometimes I'm going to win a huge pot. So that works out really well. Now, as you can see, we look at my database here. These are, I've done a play like this 15 times in my database. Here's another fine example. In this case, we're only 100 times, so I think this is probably more marginal. Although this guy does open to 80 cents, and we can just go ahead and ship it in here. I think, again, an exceptional play. And you see there, I actually end up with a great result. Now, what I normally try to do is time this type of play to where you have one of these ace-ace folds where we, our reverse fast play. I'll do that at one table and simultaneously at another table pull off a reverse slow play. And that way, when I'm dealing with opponents that are playing with me at more than one table, I really throw them for a loop. They don't know which play I'm making at that particular time. Okay, the final advanced play we're going to look at actually happens post-flop, so the complication level will be a little higher. But as you can see, we open with the kings. We flop the nuts with the king 4-5. We check for deception. Now, this guy bets a quarter into $1.85. And now for the advanced play, is the muck. And again, people look at it and go, wow, what's going on? And I wouldn't call this a reverse anything. We're not talking about reverse slow play, reverse flash play anymore. I would call this balancing my folding range. If you only have trash here in your folding range, well, you probably, have a problem. So I like to make sure that my folding range includes both weak hands and strong hands, so that, someone says, oh, you folded. Now here we got another one. Where I just go ahead and get let into, and just now, instead of anything less advanced, we muck it. Someone says, well, I know you didn't have the nuts there. Well, you're wrong. You see, so if I can get you to kind of misjudge my hand, that's where I can make people make mistakes. Here I get 3-bet, go ahead and flat. We flop the top set, check, and fold. And that's especially advanced because this guy's not very deep. And there's plenty of these we could look at. Again, middle set. And here we actually have a caller. And we just throw it away. I think that one might be a little bit more obvious than the other ones. Now, if we look at our database here, we can see that, we folded the flop, made 3 of a kind with 2 cards. We've done this 37 times. So it's actually, I could look at percentages here to see, how often we should do it. But I think 10 to 11% of the time is probably a good balancing range for your folding range. Royal straight flushes are another great hand to balance your folding range. And we could just call this having a uncapped folding range. But I've had a lot of royal straight flushes on the river in my career, but I've only shown down 2. One of them was live, and the player made a big bet on the river, and I had that royal straight flush. I knew I should throw it away, and it took me about 3 minutes to make my decision. I actually ended up calling just because I was so tilted before the hand happened. The guy called the timer on me. Finally, I called, and I turned over my royal straight flush, and he was just angry. And I'm like, yeah, I know, and I'm sorry. I just don't have the discipline right now, and I just was like, racks, because I just had to get out of there. So I hope you enjoyed these advanced plays. Take some time to look over them before you try applying them to your game. Any questions, you can hit me up at qtippoker.com. Thanks for watching.